everybody, I am Suzanne, and in today's painting tutorial we're going to do a small 8x10 of African elephant, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the piece. And let's see, so that's what we're going to paint today, and I will go ahead and give it to you step by step all the way. I'll tell you what colors we're using, what brushes we're using, all the good stuff. So sit back, let's go ahead and jump into today's video of painting the African elephant. Here's our starting lineup for our elephant. I have King's Blue, I have Terra Vert, Yellow Ochre, I have Burnt Umber, Raw Umber, Burnt Sienna, and Raw Sienna. Of course, Titanium White. I have Ivory Black, Payne's Gray, Ultramarine Blue, and Dioxazine Purple. Of course, I've got my little handy dandy paint scraper. I have my number 5 Rosemary Eclipse Long Filbert. I have, let's see, a number 3 Shiraz Filbert. I have a number 4 Pointed Round Shiraz. I've got a natural hair. This is an Ebony Filbert. This happens to be a number 8. And I have this small domed filbert. It's an Eclipse domed filbert. That's going to help me get me in some of the smaller places. And right there is our starting palette and brushes for today's piece. I'm just blocking it in with a little bit of Payne's Gray and the Ultramarine Blue, and I'm using a little bit of occasionally the Burnt Umber, and just kind of blocking in the dark values, and then later on I'll be adding a little bit of the medium tones and then lighter values. Using a larger ebony filbert, I'm going ahead and putting in my background, and I'm using King's Blue, a little bit of Payne's Gray, and Ultramarine Blue. And of course, being that this is a deep canvas, I am painting on the sides as well. And you can see me mixing the color there on the side, so you know exactly what colors are going in. A little bit darker or more intense value of blue at the top, and as it gets closer to the horizon, I soften it up, adding a little bit more white closer to the horizon. I'm keeping the background super simple, And so just, not a lot of detail, just getting it all in. Now I'm using more of a cerulean blue for the actual water, and I'm going to have a lot of fun actually putting in the reflection of the elephant into this water. And it's best when done when all the surface is completely wet. So you can see I'm just kind of suggesting where the reflection's going to go. This is a lot of fun, folks, I gotta say. And sometimes you have to work when it's wet to be able to have this happen. And by the way, this particular piece will be available on my Patreon channel, and you'll get to see it in its real-time, full-length version with all the crazy detail that goes along with any of my videos. It's you'll a lot more dialogue, but and a whole lot more information. So be sure to check it out on Patreon. Now you can see that I did add a little bit of, that is a magenta by Michael Harding. I needed to put just a little bit of pink that I saw in the water, and it just makes it really interesting and fun to be able to put that in there. And this ebony brush does make blending water a lot easier. Using a real hair brush, a softer brush, makes blending and so much easier, so much easier. putting more and more of the background in. I have to go back and forth between the Ellie and the background, and keeping the background, the bushes or trees that you see in the distance, kind of a very cool blue. You can see the colors that I'm mixing. I did add a little bit of green, but there's really a lot of Payne's gray and blue in that mountain, and I'm keeping my values pretty close, pretty light back there. Now, I just keep moving through it, and I'm, again, not putting in a lot of detail, just varying some of the color that I see in the background. Now, remember, folks, if you're not a subscriber, I'd appreciate it if you go ahead and subscribe, and you can do that now if you'd like. You just go ahead and hit that little owl in the corner, and you take care of business. I appreciate that. So I am going to have, since she is standing in the water, I've got to put the bank in. So moving around with between the soft grasses of the background and the soil and the clay that's right there at the bank, and I'm creating that nice dark edge. And I'm using a Shiraz pointed round brush for a lot of this, and it's working just wonderfully. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Since I'm wanting to put in a lot of detail, I like the, oops, I like the detail in the elephant. I bought a Workbench Warrior miniature set from Rosemary. Now, I am going to attempt to start doing some miniatures, but this is not considered a miniature piece, as this is a 8x10. But because I want to get in here and do some of this detail, I want to try these brushes out. They're short handles, so I'm not used to working with short handle brushes, but I'm wanting a brush that's going to do the small work. And I see one in here I'm going to try out. So let's see what happens. The brush I'm going to try here is a number 2 pointed red dot. Okay, so the red dot is one of Rosemary's synthetic sables. I've used red dots before, so this should be, I mean, it's almost undetectable, folks. It feels just like a sable. So we're going to go ahead and try that, and I'm going to do some of the detailing here. It's going to allow me to get in there a little bit tighter. So again, I'm going to get this part of her head because I just ran my finger through it a second ago. And again, I'm not used to using short handles. Okay, that's actually nice. I do have to clean something up because when I touched my canvas, I smudged it. A little bit of, just to clean my mess up. And that did it. That was all I needed to do. Okay. So I'm getting in here on her face. And this is where I need to actually use a palette, just a knife to start creating some of the colors, because otherwise I will have too much paint on this little brush. So I took a little Payne's Gray, yellow ochre, and I'm trying to make a nice gray for my elephant. I'm going to take a little bit more and make it a little darker value, a little grayer. That's nice. So that's made with yellow ochre and Payne's Gray. And I do have quite a bit of umber, raw umber, put a little bit more yellow ochre in it. So you can see there's a nice assortment of color right there. Good elephant colors. Grab a little bit more of this, mix a little that yellow color, yellow ochre, titanium white, same color I just mixed, but I'm going to add a little bit more Payne's Gray. Got a little blue in there. This should be okay. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So we got some good elephant colors there to play with. Let's see if I can't make this happen. This little pointed round red dot brush, it's one of the miniatures, is working so wonderfully. It's making this job so much more fun and easier, and having the right brush for the job is imperative. Now, you'll see occasionally I'll switch back and forth between my larger pointed round and this smaller one, but anytime I have a fun brush like this, it's making it crazy fun to be able to put in all the wrinkles in her, in her face and her ears. And I'm really going to get into it big time with the ears because there's lots of folds and highlights and all kinds of good stuff. So I'm under shadowing, if you will, the bottom jaw a little bit, creating the distance of her other ear. And I will be moving the ear that's facing us a little bit more. I've got to make it larger and drop it down just a tad. You'll see. I do quite a bit of morphing on this piece. Okie dokie. Now we're going back in and still using this little Rosemary #2 pointed red dot. See, it's nice and fine, and it is a short handle. And of course, this is one of their miniature series of brushes. I actually got it for doing some small paintings, but it's really nice to get in here and do some of the little detail on the elephants. So let's jump on where we left off. I'm going to grab some of this color right here. Yep, this brush is the bomb. So I'm able to take the lighter highlights in her head and ears, and you could see I'll go back and forth between dark and light. And I'm wanting to get the detail in. And remember, this is an 8 by 10, so it's generally going to be viewed, not right, very close, but close enough to where you really do want to offer as much detail as you can in this small space. So this miniature brush is really doing the trick, and I'm able to get the little wrinkles in, and the highlights on the wrinkles, and you can see that I have a medium gray tone in the curve of her trunk, and then I just highlighted with this lighter yellow based color. And you'll see that I'll actually bring her ear out a little bit more. So anytime I alter the shape of her head and her ears, that means I got to alter the shape of her back. I keep lengthening her out, and you'll see that I keep morphing her more towards the right of the painting. But I want to get all her proportions correct. And of course, African elephants do have very large ears that they depend on, not only for the obvious, for hearing, but they keep themselves cool. That it increases just the surface area and the blood vessels to get them, rid themselves of heat, and they actually use them as fans as well. So their ears are so very important, and I want to make sure that I give her all the ears she needs. And so you can see I'm kind of contemplating the size of her ear, and I'll be bringing it out a little bit more. Since I'm going with a very light color, and that's what I have on the brushes, I figured I might as well go ahead and get the light part of her tusks as well as her ears in, since that's what I have on the brush. And you can see I've brought her ears down a little bit more, brought them out a little bit more, and but putting all that fun detail, that's the fun stuff. And I'm just kind of, I want to get the creases and the folds of her ear in, and where they're highlighted in there as well. Putting in all the wrinkles and knowing how many to put in. Obviously, we can't get them all in today, but we're putting in as many of the little bends and wrinkles as we can get. Now remember, folks, this will be on Patreon in its full length, so be sure to check it out. Now, as I move through, I keep looking for, I keep making corrections, and I've dropped her belly a little bit more, and they do have interesting, saggy skin in some of their areas. And I think it's, I just got to get that all in, and I'm looking at my negative space as well, that nice blue sliver between her reflection and her abdomen. I will also check that against my reference to make sure that is the right size and distance. And so I'm bringing her, since I brought her ear out, I'm having to bring her back out a little bit too. So I'm making a correction here with the blue sky color, and kind of sculpting out her back just a little bit more. And then here you go. You see I'm putting back in the areas that I took out. So it's a morph, yes, but indeed it's getting close, and I feel really confident that I'm almost finished. Let's see here, let's put some grays in here. When you don't have to use a little brush, it's usually better. Use them when you have to, but all right, I'm just trying to hit some of these lighter areas. And there's a little bit of pokes out here. So if I lengthen the ear, you gotta lengthen the back just a little bit, and that's what we just did. And it's very subtle, but like I said, a lot of that can be avoided if you do a proper sketch. Which, you know, I always qualify my pieces by saying I did a very loose sketch. And I did very loose. Okay, I'm just subtly kind of making that transition between the dusty part on her back. A little lighter here on the edge. And we'll blend that in here in a bit. Remember, this is not a huge piece, so I'm not going to get nuts here, too nuts with all the detail. This is actually just an 8 by 10. It's just like, it's almost like a hatchwork there, and the light's catching it because that part of her abdomen probably comes out a little more, and the light's catching it. Got a couple little wrinkles in here. We're gonna put a little bit of a dark line here. There is a dark line underneath her tail. They do have a hair that they have on the end of their tail, helps keep the flies away. I'm gonna put a little bit of a light blue, put a little bit of my King's Blue, because you know how I love King's Blue. So I'm suggesting the little bits of hair on her tail. And I'm going to give her a little bit of wrinkle. Using Payne's Gray, just a little bit of oil on my brush. And we're going to kind of suggest some of these other wrinkles here. Again, I want to emphasize the shadow of this tail a little bit more. So this tail kind of goes up here. It's a little bit more brown here, and I need it anyway to show up against this light grass. So that's pretty much what I need. I'm going to put a little bit. Just making sure I'm getting it. I'm going to give it a little bit of a hump here. Lighten up some of the dust on her back, just a tiny bit, with a little bit of white, since we have it already wet. I keep my brush clean. I can't seem to do it. Guys, I'm getting close here. I want to create a little bit more wrinkle area here so that the top of this tail stands out. Making sure that the wrinkles are going in the correct direction. And I'm almost done with her, I think. Give it a little bit of dark values in some areas so I can make some places stick out a little bit more. And I know there's all kinds of little hatching and these wrinkles. You could have a really big fun time right here, just doing all the little wrinkles, and knowing that like where each one of them sticks out, there's a little bit of a a dark value that's gonna catch the light, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. Is just popping in little dark values underneath some of the little light ones that I created. Keep looking around. I know that there's so much I can do. So what I'm doing right here, I'm just undercutting each one of the little wrinkles I created. There is some, I'm missing something here. So if this comes here, this comes over here a little bit more. So there's a hole right there. I got to create that little hole underneath this dark value here, like that. And that's this part of, so I'm going to bring her tail out a little bit more. Like here. That's probably a little bit more correct. So then her tail has this dark shadow right here. There we go. So I really need to lighten up some of this area, and it's always, oops, come on, so get it. Take that away now. So I made a little blob. The wrong blob in the wrong place, so we're gonna take that off. Just like that. So I'm gonna go in with a lighter value. Right here. And we're gonna go in with black. Bring this down a little bit more. That's all right. We're going to put a little bit of a light value on top of her tail. Right here. I gotta do a little bit more work in the water. And we're about to wrap it up, I think. Since I know that this is already, I need to bring this out just a little bit. I don't want to make it look like it's like she's got this brown stripe on her back. She really doesn't, but I've got to incorporate this a little bit better here. And I think this is going to come down a little bit. That's a little bit better. Let's go ahead and make some of these lighter areas here. Knowing that my paint will blend a little bit better. Just putting in some reflective light. And I think I got a little overzealous with putting in what I was kind of lining up the head a little bit, but since I've moved things around, I'll take some of that out. Keep my reflection concentrated towards the base here. And some of these lighter colors in here. Hi folks, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, give me a big old thumbs up. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions about anything you have seen me cover on today's video, please leave it in the comment section. I'll get to it. Good like that. one of my Patreon people, Kraus. He's a big, like I think I mentioned this earlier, is a big elephant enthusiast. And he asked if I'd do this, and of course, Kraus, this elephant's for you. Of course, I like painting elephants too. All right, folks, I'm gonna call her done. I hope you enjoyed it. And here it is again. I'm gonna go ahead and show it to you up close, let you really take a look. And you know, I did get to use some little brushes. I just got this set of Rosemary miniature brushes, and I only used one for this particular one, but it was easier to get into some of the wrinkles and the tight places that I wanted to capture on the elephant. I really didn't do a lot of detail in the background. We kept it super simple, but I did have fun too in doing the reflection in the water, and just her posture was kind of fun. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe, mash that button, ring the bell, and you'll know when the next video comes out. So from Kingsport, Tennessee, I want to say thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.